Hello, everyone. I welcome you here in this virtual side event of Economic and Social Council Youth Forum. So before we begin with the session, let me brief you about ECOSOC Youth Forum. Economic and Social Council, which is also better known as ECOSOC Youth Forum, takes place every year since its establishment in the year 2012. The Youth Forum is an opportunity for youth people to share their perspective on how to transform the world into a better and sustained place and reach sustainable development goals. ECOSOC Youth Forum is the great gathering of young people at United Nations, bringing their views, ideas, solutions, and innovations to the policy discussion on various issues. The theme for this year is COVID-19 recovery, youth taking action for a sustainable future. Countries are struggling to cope up with COVID-19. The situation has had an unprecedented impact on health, the education system, the labor forces, employment, other challenges. Recognizing the COVID-19 pandemic has sparked a global crisis that is also undermining hard-won development gains and process. The United Nations Secretary General has called for a comprehensive response that is linked to the implementation of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and SDGs, Decade for Action and Delivery. More effort are needed for all actors of society to mainstream the sustainable development goals in their respective national development and sectoral policy. The ECOSOC Youth Forum's broad objective includes provide a platform to young people to engage in a dialogue with the UN member states and other actors on concrete action to rebuild from COVID-19 in a way that advances the sustainable development goal at the grassroots, national, regional, and global level. It also has objective of share experiences and identify solutions to support young and surmounting the devastating impact of COVID-19 in their economic, social, health, and educational life, as well as in bolstering the resilience to the future shock. The third objective is also allow young people to contribute to the review of implementation of 2030 agenda and the sustainable development goals and shaping policy recommendation at other intergovernmental fora such as UN Transforming Educational Summit, the UN Ocean Conference, and financing the development forum and others. And the last but not the least, the objective of ECOSOC Youth Forum is to discuss and report the implementation of UN Youth Strategy Young 2030, working with and for young people and leverage for the forum in support of advocating and advancing the UN Youth Strategy, as well as increasing coherence between the Youth Forum and UN strategy. On the sideline of Eco-Social Sciences by indigenous youth of Odisha, India. These virtual events aim to enrich the discussion at forum, other diverse platform for declining exchanges of views and expand their future opportunities for networking. Let me tell you, Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences comprises of Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences Foundation, K.I.S.S School and College, and the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences deemed to be university. K.I.S Foundation is an NGO headquartered in Bhubaneswar, India. K.I.S believe that a better world free from hunger, poverty, and illiteracy is possible through educating marginalized section of society. K.I.S made humble beginning in 1992 and made concrete effort towards inclusive education, women empowerment, indigenous upliftment, and sustainable development. The vision of founder Dr. Achyut Samant has grown to become the world's largest residential educational institute for indigenous population. Founder Dr. Samanta always believed in access and opportunity provided. There is no limit what indigenous student can achieve. So without much delay now, I would like to call Mr. Satya Tripathi. Sir, he is also Chancellor, K.I.S.S deemed to be University, and also Secretary General, Global Alliance for a Sustainable Planet, to have opening remark and welcome the guest for this event. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Soren. And I see that we have an amazing constellation of senior leadership from the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences. We have our Vice Chancellor, we have our Registrar, we have our Director General, and I also see quite a few of the speakers on screen. So let me start by saying that this is an extremely important conversation. And we at the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences are extremely proud to be partnering with the UN Economic and Social Council. As you all know, is one of the principal organs of the UN and principally focused on economic and social issues across the planet. And it is indeed a matter of great privilege that our university, our institute has been afforded this honor to host this ECOSOC Youth Forum 2022. Because the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences is all about youth. It is about finding people that want to achieve their true potential and then affording them the opportunities, affording them the right kind of education and upbringing that then, of course, gives them the tools they can then use to advance in their lives. And so I'm very proud to be associated with the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences as their Chancellor, but more importantly, as an enlightened world citizen, I'm extremely privileged to be in this conversation, especially as it pertains to two things that I hold very dear: indigenous communities and young people. And the climate challenge that we see today, and when we talk about COVID is not something that happens in isolation. If you look at the last 3 decades or so, 75% of the new diseases that humanity has had to confront with actually comes from climate change, and it comes from we humans taking over the habitat of other species. And once we start cohabiting with animals in our living space, and that's what doctors call the zoonotic diseases. And so in the last 3 decades, starting with AIDS, maybe 4 decades, 75% of the new diseases are all zoonotic. And then that's what we need to keep in mind. And indigenous people actually have been living in these habitats for centuries, for millennia, without attracting any problems or creating these diseases or anything. So we have a lot to learn from our indigenous brothers and sisters across the planet as to how they find that harmony, how they find that ability to coexist with nature while protecting nature. So I think that's the big message. And for the young people, of course, the big message is that we have messed up the planet that we are passing on to you. And you really need to stand up for your rights, and nothing better than indigenous youth, because you understand what it is to be in the middle of nature. You understand what it is to protect Mother Nature, because that's in your genes. You've been doing it for thousands of years. And so that's why it's extremely important. And lastly, the COVID situation is a really bad one for the communities, especially across the planet, the indigenous communities, because it is a grave health threat, because they already experience poor access to healthcare, significantly higher rates of communicable and non-communicable diseases, lack of access to essential services because they live in remote locations, sanitation, and other preventive measures. And all of that then conspires to prevent access to the right kind of healthcare when you're in a crisis such as COVID-19, and B, of course, being able to take care of your communities. And in that, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from what the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences has done, both with its students. We sent our students home, but we didn't stop teaching. We did our best to find digital ways of communicating with our children who possibly in most cases do not have access to the benefits of the digital world. And also because we not only teach our students, but boarding and lodging, everything is afforded free. So when they are back in their communities, how do you make sure that everything reaches to them so that they have the right kind of nutrition and support so that they're able to study and do what they need to do as a good student? And so we did that as well. So, so when people say that you can't do much for indigenous communities because they are in remote enclaves and there is difficult access and all, I think the world needs to really look up to the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences and see what kind of efforts we put in place, from masking to sanitizing to affording digital access to getting food to homes across our student communities that are spread out in a massive state like Odisha. And then I think there's a lot to learn there. And so with that, let me now move on to introduce our distinguished guests that will be speaking this morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. We have Abha Mishra, who's the head of UNDP, the UN Development Program for Odisha, and she'll be speaking about innovative steps taken by indigenous youth and communities to deal with various gender concerns. And then we have Mr. Thirupati from the US Consulate General in Hyderabad, who will be talking about bringing a little bit of the international perspective, coordination, collaboration between established institutions and the inbuilt mechanisms to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. And then Mr. Pandit, who's the Deputy Inspector General of Police in Koraput, which is a predominantly tribal communities. So he will bring in how policy interventions can actually hold key, and then bringing in the perspective of indigenous youth and communities from the region he supervises in terms of public order and safety and security of the citizens. And then that will be followed, of course, by a panel discussion on women and girls, which is SDG 5. There will be experience sharing by our energetic indigenous youth and the innovative methods used towards recovery and resilience. So we'll be hearing from Mary, K.I.S.S, Hara, Prasad, Salami, Sanjukta, and Sarojini. So an exciting mix of young and experienced people sharing their insights throughout the session. Welcome everyone, and then thank you for being here, and you'll be very, very enriched. Please stay till the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insight, deliberation. Now, we really like to thank you. I know you have a very busy engagement. So, sir, you can also, complete with your engagement, and you can come back to.
I'll come back as soon as that gets over.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you. So we'll proceed ahead with the next course of action. Now, I think Abha ma'am has joined. Now I would like to call Ms. Abha Mishra, head of the office UNDP Odisha. She brings diverse experience of more than 2 decades working in the UN. Madam Abha coordinated the relief distribution during COVID-19 pandemic. UNDP and Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences also jointly undertook a study to assess social and economic impact of COVID-19 on migrant workers. So I would like to call Ms. Abha Mishra to speak on innovative steps taken by the indigenous youth and communities and how they dealt with the various gender concern during COVID-19 pandemic. So, ma'am, if you can start your deliberation.
Yeah, Kadet, good evening, and thank you for inviting me. Unfortunately, while putting the background somewhere. I've lost my video, so I'm not able to see, show you my face. But thank you very much to the K.I.S and KIT universities for inviting me here, specifically K.I.S. I think, it's a privilege to be amongst such dignified and dignitaries who have been working for the indigenous people on and off. And it's actually a privilege to be speaking to all of you. I am by education an anthropologist, and for the first 10 years of my life, I actually worked with the Lanchiasuras, the Hilkariyas, Mankriyas, Santals, all across the state, and also moved into other areas, which was very, very enriching and learning experience. One thing which always struck me is the youth in these areas were always very enthusiastic to learn more. It is not as if, their worldview depended upon the place they are they are staying, the natural environment from where, in which they are living. And from there, their innovations, their learning ability increased. As we have, what we call in the anthropological sense, a Sanskritization process, which basically means is we trying to bring them to the learned world as we envisage, which may be the scripting, the new learnings which we do it in labs and other things. And actually, these all learnings are part of this ecosystem. UN has always worked for the indigenous tribes, and we also work for ensuring that the generation and centuries learning is not lost anywhere. So it becomes very, very important to learn how they have worked with the nature to preserve it and conserve it in the changing climate world, where the climate impacts are not just being felt by the coastal communities or by the other people, but have also started reaching to the doorstep of our indigenous people. We remember the Titli cyclone. And if you really look at it, it's amazing to see how the indigenous people have moved to learn from that event and built up a far better community than itself. And in the similar way, if you look at the, from the girl child point of view, or the women for which, and specifically the girl child for which K.I.S has been doing immensely great work along with UNFPA and UN Women, as well as on their own, is ensuring the education system as we understand, but also when they go back to the villages, trying to bring them in, also bring them into the learnings into their folds. So without losing the traditional mechanism, traditional knowledge, they're also imparting the required conventional knowledge. So during the COVID, if we really look at it, these women folks who brought themselves together to form the self-help groups really came forward and supported the communities, not only in ensuring that there was a collective collective work towards ensuring social distancing, maintaining health and hygiene, but also turning it themselves in economic power lens and coming up with the products of that need, specifically the masks, the sanitizers, cooking, and so many things, while the girls ensured that they do not lose in from their educational conflict. Now, when you look at the boys, they have also ensured the economic benefits which were there. They worked along with their counterparts in the government to ensure that no one is left behind. You find because of the cultural traditions, respect for certain elderlies, the dictates, social distancing were managed. If you really look at it, in the tribal areas, we had very less COVID cases, except where there were a high level of returnees. So, and this was maintained by the youth, because the youth became the, the force to reckon with, helping, supporting, doing a lot of things which is required. And the girls in itself also turned entrepreneurs. Today, when we look at, there are small entrepreneurs who are there. They understand the importance of the economic development. And this is where the youth is so important, because for next at least 2 decades, India is going to be the powerhouse of youth. And these youth, with their visions of living with nature, conserving it, will be able to stop the climate change impacts, at least to a certain level where they are managed, because resilience can only be there when every individual, every household is able to bounce back after a small event. Unless and until each one of us help each other, we will never be able to be a resilient community. Because if one suffers, the other will suffer. Maybe the degree of suffering would be less. So it is so important to understand the youth have to come forward in showcasing what their culture is, what their systems are, and how to adapt it, to change it, to modify it, to bringing it together to a better worldview. I thank K.I.S University, Professor Rautrai, Rajesh Pandit sir, and everybody, Deepak Kumar VC sir. Thank you so much for inviting me, and for letting me be a part of this youth forum. Thank you so much. I wish all the best for the great work K.I.S is doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abha ma'am. Thank you for your insight into the gender concern and the resilience, how it can be in a better way. Thank you for your talk. I can see our own Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Deepak Kumar Behra, sir, is also in this side event program. And I can also see Dr. Kanucharan Mahali, sir, is also present and encouraging us. Dr. Kanucharan Mahali, sir, is retired IPS officer, and he joined as Director General of Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, deemed to be university. And he's also chairman of Tribal Advisory Council, which is advising university, K.I.S University in time to time. So without wasting any time, I would like to invite Mr. Senthil K. Thirupati, a public engagement specialist with U.S. Consulate General Hyderabad. In his able leadership, U.S. Consulate General Hyderabad and K.I.S Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences successfully implemented a project for sensitizing indigenous communities during first break of COVID-19. He were also actively involved in repatriation of a standard US citizen from Odisha and other places in India. Thank you, Senthil sir, for extending your support. I would like to request you to kindly deliver your talk on coordination and collaboration between established institution and inbuilt mechanism to deal with COVID-19 pandemic. Senthil sir, please.
Thank you, Khade. I hope you can hear me. Good evening, everyone. My name is Senthil. I work at the Consulate here in Hyderabad on behalf of the US Consulate here in Hyderabad. A big congratulations to folks at the K.I.S.S and KIT for organizing this forum and also inviting us to share about our experience of working through this with the K.I.S.S on different projects, but I would, as Kade has mentioned, focus more on the project that we have funded and we have worked with K.I.S.S. So one thing that I quickly wanted to mention was that, networking or collaborating, that's the topic that has been given, but, I always would appreciate and, admire the amount of collaboration and coordination K.I.S.S does in terms of coordinating with the different organizations across the world. I think you guys can offer a management course on that. So, with due credit to everybody who is doing their job best, but I wanted to just stick to what I've been working with this specific project. This specific project was, I remember very clearly when COVID struck. So we have at the US government side, we have an exchange alumni team. In the sense, we have people who had participated in our US government exchange programs, serving at different places. So one of the things that we did was asked our alumni, if you have a project idea that you have in mind, we'll be happy to support that. And I still remember the wonderful alumni team at KSS, consisting of Aditya, Tushar, and Ishwar, and many people. I still remember it's a teamwork, and they came up with this idea. The proposal was submitted, and it was funded. It was all about, engaging youth volunteers and civil society organizations in creating COVID-19 awareness. Now, this is too, I would say it's early stage of COVID. There were a lot of myths going around, a lot of fear that was going around across the country about what is right, what is wrong, is this safe, is it not safe, and all that kind of a thing. But I remember this team, the project team, doing a fabulous job of collecting data, collecting scientific opinion, picking up the WHO's messages and translating them into Odia language and passing it on to the villages in such a way that I know it was a huge task, but we came up with a list of 5 districts that we have agreed to focus on. And one of the things I still remember was that there were two prong objective. That was that one was building capacity of youth, because what we realized is that movement or going traveling between point A to point B has become very difficult during COVID. So one way of doing it is identify volunteers across Odisha in these 5 districts, in those same old villages where they will be able to move with very limited movement. They can share their knowledge or share their information with other people. So we used quite a lot of digital media also. So materials on Odia languages were developed, and those were sent from Bhubaneswar to these districts, and pamphlets were distributed, posters were put up wherever the local markets have convened. There also the information was shared. So building capacities of youth volunteers, we identified about 100 youth in all these 5 districts through this project. Hats off to the project team at K.I.S.S who did this job of identifying youth who will also be able to not only learn and but also deliver this message to people. So they did that one, and then the second part was basically awareness creation and information dissemination, etc. So fabulous job they did. We were very happy to see the products that they were able to produce, especially those colorful posters. I still remember, and we have a couple that is on our wall also in the office. I wish I'm there in the office to show and share those colorful posters that they've made and shared it with us. I'm not right now in office, but those colorful posters using cartoons or comics about whether or not taking bath in a common pond, would it cause COVID to other people, or for that matter, standing next to somebody or without wearing a mask or something. So a lot of this messages that were beautifully pictured, and they also made a cartoon video, and that was again shared among all the WhatsApp and other digital portals and mediums, etc. and all. So I'll stop here about this part, but I'll also very quickly deal last mention about this collaboration and this thing. I think a pandemic of this kind, it's a massive nature. Everybody wouldn't forget that easily the last 2 years of how things got paralyzed. The international markets came crashing down, communication came stop, and the transports all have wind up. But hats off to our collective human brains that sitting at a nook and corner of Bhubaneswar or Odisha, our folks and friends in K.I.S.S were able to create a proposal and send it to us in Hyderabad, and we sent it to Washington, and Washington then approved it. So imagine the amount of coordination and the collaboration that has happened. That's what I wanted to focus. So I think it requires that kind of an effort. It requires that kind of an appreciation. And so I would say a big round of applause to our friends at K.I.S.S and KIT for doing this job fabulously, in terms of, nobody would have thought that somebody from Odisha would submit a proposal and take money and spread awareness in 5 districts of interior Odisha. So imagine the amount of coordination that must have happened in all that. So I think that is what I would say that as the takeaway for today's people who are sitting here, be it youth, if you have will, or if you have want to work on this area, look for organizations, look for mechanisms, but don't hesitate to throw the ball into it. So you never know what comes out of it. So I would say that as the clear and a best example of collaborating and coordinating between international as well as national agencies to address a big pandemic of this kind, and creating awareness among the tribal people in 5 districts. So with that, I'll stop here, and thank you so much for everybody who is at K.I.S.S for giving me this opportunity. And I hope I was able to do justice to the work that you all did, and also able to do justice to the topic that I've been given. Thank you.
Thank you, Senthil sir. I would like to also say it's without your and your office support, there could not be, and you have all the belief in our team, and it's a kind of win-win kind of both way. It's a trust between us. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your deliberation. I know you are traveling, and thank you for your time. You have taken out from your busy schedule, and rightly you have deliberate. Thank you very much, sir. So I would also like to request and invite Shri Rajesh Pandit sir, who is IPS, who is currently serving as Deputy Inspector General of Police in Southwestern Range of Odisha, which is headquartered in Koraput. He is among one of the officers who has played a pivotal role in helping indigenous communities, migrant population during the first break of COVID-19 pandemic. So Rajesh sir, I would like to request you to kindly share your views on policy intervention and way ahead perspective of indigenous youth and communities. Rajesh Pandit sir.
Respected Satya Tripathi sir, Chancellor of the K.I.S.S, Professor Deepak Kumar, VC of the K.I.S.S, Mr. K.I.S the moderator, Abha Mishra, the Chief of the UNDP, Senthil sir, all distinguished guests, invitees. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers and Aditya, my friend, for giving me opportunity to speak on this ECOSOC Youth Forum. In the first page, I was not in Koraput, but I was in Bhadrak, and I could find that the many migrant workers, many from the indigenous communities were traveling, and we could provide food with the participation, private participation. Government also supported us, and we could provide the food also. And to the local youth community, particularly, also we could help them. For girls also, we could help for their menstrual hygiene with the help of K.I.S.S. K.I.S.S supported us. In the second phase, I was here since January 2021, and when the second wave started, again the migrant workers, particularly from the tribal community, they came back again, and we were worried about their loss of livelihood. Basically, they came from Goa and Kerala and other places. Then another thing was that the area was very remote and hilly. So the government has to intervene, and government intervened very successfully, and they established COVID hospitals, COVID care hospitals everywhere in the districts. My range consists of 6 districts. So everywhere they could put the hospitals, and we also help through our people, police people and others, despite the fact that our police people were also suffering from COVID, and in the second wave, many people lost their lives. And another worry was the loss of livelihood, and we could found out that the youth from the area were having no jobs. They were just sitting, and we were worried about, we were facing two pronged problems. One was that the pandemic, the other was that the Maoist insurgency. We were worried whether these youth will join the Maoist insurgency. That was our worrying task, because we were hearing the reports that Chhattisgarh, many youths are joining again to the insurgency, because they had gone to work outside, and then they don't have work, so they wanted to join the insurgency. But somehow we could successfully contain that. We could attract the Maoists, we neutralized few of them, we could attract the Maoists to surrender and join the mainstream and leave the Shandi path of violence. And the attraction towards insurgency was almost negligible. I can say nobody joined from the return youths. And the another worrying fact was digital divide amongst the youths, and particularly boys and girls. I was going to Malkangiri and Koraput and every places. Schools were closed, colleges were closed, and as you know, as you are aware, we don't have much towers, telephone towers in the remote areas. So these boys and girls, I could see they were sitting somewhere on the hillside to access the online classes. So that digital device was much heartening, and we also tried to help them. And then now the way forward to this digital divide was that government came up with almost more than 400 telephone towers. So within another 6 months or so, few of the telephone towers have been installed, and more than 400 towers will be installed. Most of them are in our area. Most of them are in our 6 districts. Then I think another thing, we must ensure that livelihood training to the youths, because if somebody wants to join back their duties, they can do, but many people will stay back. So livelihood training for them is very much important. I think KIT and K.I.S can take initiative in this with the help of other organizations. Then another effort, as I told, to reduce the digital divide. I think government has already initiated digital classrooms and all, and we hope that there is no lockdown again, and definitely the summer vacations have been reduced. So this divide, this whatever time we lost, that will also be covered. And digital divide with the help of see, even if we have towers, it is they don't have a purchasing capacity to purchase the good mobile phone, so that they can the students can have access to the online training. And the last thing was to give platform to the cultural aspects of the indigenous youth, because once we give platform to them, they won't join the insurgency. Our biggest fear is that they should not join insurgency. We are also launching friendship Maitri camps in the remote area. I was SP Rayagada also, so I know. So our 6 SPs, they will again launch the Maitri camps to meet and to interact and to eat with them, the youths, indigenous youths. Even we have requested the CAPFs, particularly BSF and CRPF, who are working in our area, to launch the Maitri friendship program so that they involve the indigenous youths among with them, so that they do not join the EA. Lastly, I would like to say that we must have a plan for economic, social, and political empowerment of the youth. Basically, the youths and girls, children, if they are economically empowered, they have a livelihood training, and they are skilled, they get some skill training in some way, so they will be empowered. And political empowerment is already being done. Similar is a social empowerment. So once again, I thank this opportunity for to the organizers for inviting me to the ECOSOC Youth Forum 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all your suggestions and all your deliberation. You have rightly mentioned, apart from relief and rehabilitation, you as a police and as a you have to have a direct one-on-one contact with the people out there in the field. So you have also neutralized the mission of people, those will be joining Maoism, and also you have said some suggestion like how you can have cultural thing with people out there. So apart from, I got a electricity connection out of me. Okay, then apart from, you have also mentioned about digital divide and how that can be eradicated through different interventions. So your suggestion will be well taken, sir, and we'll be talking about all your suggestions in different forums. So without wasting much time, hello, can we have animated movie to be played? IT team,
देशर विभिन्न भागरे रही काम करुथिबा प्रवासी श्रमिक माने निज निज घरकू फेरिबाकू बाध्य होइथिले, किंतु सेमाने केवल एका फेरु नथिले। सेमानंक अजणतारे कोरोना भूताणु भी सेमानंक सहित आसीथिला ओ निज संक्रमणर जाल क्षिप्र गतिरे आगुकू बढ़ाइथिला। बहुत दूररू आसीथिबा हेतु जेउ माने निजकू थकिला परी अनुभव करुथिले, वास्तवरे ताहा कोरोना संक्रमणर लक्षण थिला। परिवार लोकंक सहित संपर्क रे आसीबा परे कोरोना संक्रमण अधिक व्यापी थिला। ठंडा हेबा, कास हेबा, छिंकिबा आदि लक्षण मध्य जीवन हानिर कारण हेबारे लागिला। कोरोना भूताणु जणे जणे करी समस्तंकु निज कब्जारे नेबाकू लागिला। जेउठी सामाजिक दूरता और सतर्कता कम रहिला, सेठारे एही भूताणु शीघ्र संक्रमण करिबा चालू रखिला। एहा द्वारा परिवारर अन्य लोक माने मध्य कोरोना भूताणु द्वारा संक्रमित हेले। परिवार लोकंक सहित गाँर अन्य लोक माने मध्य संक्रमित हेले। छोटो पिला और वयस्क लोक मानंक पई कोरोना भूताणु अधिक भयंकर थिला। पिला और वयस्क लोक माने शीघ्र कोरोना भूताणु कब्जारे पड़िले। संक्रमित होइथिबा लोक कोनोसी जिनिस को छुईबा द्वारा भी कोरोना संक्रमण बढ़िला। पिला और वयस्क मानंक ठारे संक्रमण शीघ्र हेबार संभावना रही थाए, कारण सेमानंक पाखरे रोग प्रतिरोधक शक्ति कम रही थाए। कोरोना संक्रमणर लक्षण को बुझिबा मध्य कष्ट थिला। लक्षण भी सबु भिन्न प्रकारर थिला, जेमिति अधिक ज्वर हेबा, सुखिला कास हेबा, बारंबार पतला झाड़ा हेबा इत्यादि लक्षण सबु। काहा पाखरे कम लक्षण तो आउ काहा पाखरे अधिक लक्षण सबु देखिबाकू मिलिथिला। कोरोना भूताणु संक्रमण पाई वयस्क मानक मध्यरे मृत्यु हार भी बढ़िथिला। जदि किछि पदक्षेप निया न जाए तेबे ए भूताणु संपूर्ण गाँ को मध्य निज कब्जारे नहीं पारे। 2020 मसीहारे कोरोना भूताणु महामारी कारणरू 15 लाख लोक मृत्युवरण करथिले, जहाँकि प्रत्येक लोकंक पाई एक दुखर कारण थिला। ए महामारी को एते शीघ्र भूली हब नाही।
प्रथम अध्याय आमे कोरोनार लक्षण विषय जानिले। एबे आसंतु ता परर कहानी विषय जानिबा। दिन परे दिन कोरोना संक्रमण रे लोकंकर मृत्यु हार बढ़िबारे लागिला, जहा हेतु गाँव रे भयर लहरी खेलीगला। सहर गुड़िकरे कोरोना भूताणुर प्रभाव हेतु सारा विश्व रे लॉकडाउन स्थिति आसी जाइथिला, जहा फଳରେ गाँ लोकंक पाखरे बेसी सूचना पहुंची पारु नथिला। समग्र विश्व डिजिटल माध्यम आड़ को अग्रसर हेउथिला बेले ओडिशार आदिवासी गाँ इलाका जेउठारे मोबाइल नेटवर्क आज भी अपहंच, सेठारे कोरोना विषय खबर और देशर कोरोना स्थितिर गंभीरता संबंध में सूचना देवा बहुत कष्टदायक होईगला। स्थिति एपरी होईगला कि मनगढ़ा कथारे लोक विश्वास करने को लगिले। समाज भितरे कोरोना को नहीं बहुत गुजब सब प्रचार हेबारे लागिला। कोरोना रे पीड़ित परिवार सहित समस्ते अछुआ परि व्यवहार करने को लगिले। गाँ गुड़िकर एभली परिस्थिति को देखी और यार गंभीरता को नजर रे रखी किस और युक्तराष्ट्र अमेरिका वाणिज्य दूतावास हैदराबाद मिलित भाव में एक कार्यक्रम आरंभ करने को आगे आसिले, जहा माध्यम रे संपूर्ण गाँव रे कोरोना विषय रे लोकन को सचेतन करा जाई परिबो एवं रोगी गंभीर स्थिति रे कहा पाखकू केउठा को जीवा दरकार से सब विषय रे सूचना पहुंचा जाई परिबो। एई भली स्थिति रे किस रो स्वेच्छासेवी माने आगु को आसीथिले। सेमाने निज जीवन प्रति थिबा विपद को पछ करी गाँ रो मुखिया सरपंच आशाकर्मी सहित मिसी गाँ गाँ रे कोरोना और ता संबंधी महत्वपूर्ण सूचना लोकमानंक पाखरे पहुंचाइबा काम आरंभ करथिले। मुहरे मास्क पिंधि हातरे सैनिटाइजर धरी गाँ रे पहुंची थिबा एही कोरोना योद्धांकु देखि प्रथमे समस्ते आश्चर्य हो जाइथिले, किंतु गाँ लोकंकु कोरोना संबंध रे बुझाइबा परे सेमानंकर महत्व गाँ लोक बुझी पारिथिले। एही परि कोरोना संबंध रे सचेतनता आरंभ होइथिला। किछि स्थान रे ठीक भाव में मास्क पिंधिबा तो आउ केउठारे ठीक भाव में हाथ सफा करिबा, केउठारे सामाजिक दूरता रक्षा करिबा तो देहरे किछि लक्षण देखादेले सठिक चिकित्सा कराइबा उपरे सचेतनता दिया जाइथिला। मालकानगिरी, कोरापुट, नवरंगपुर, रायगड़ा और कंधमाल जिल्लार गाँ मानकरे एही सचेतनता कार्यक्रम करा जाइथिला, जहा फଳରେ गाँ लोके कोरोना विषय पूर्व ठारू अधिक सठिक सूचना पाई पारिले और सठिक सतर्कता पालन कले। किंतु भूलंतु नहीं, कोरोना एबे भी जाई नहीं।
Thank you for displaying this animated movie and video. This two video has been, made in support with the U.S. Consulate General Hyderabad, as it was mentioned in the video as well. So first video is to create awareness among the people based in rural areas. As rightly mentioned by Senthil sir, there are a lot of miscommunication and misinformation, superstition in regard to first break of COVID pandemic, because that time people were so scared because they never had any information about such pandemic in past. So the second video is how the information can be passed on from village head to the Anganwadi worker, and how it can be spreading across the village. So this is the video all about. Now we will go to have panel discussion, which is on the topic of effect of COVID-19 pandemic in the education sector, that is covering Sustainable Development Goal 4, and on young women and girls, which is covering Sustainable Development Goal 5. And now we'll having experience sharing by indigenous youth and how and what kind of innovative methods used during and towards recovery and resilience. So we have the participant in the panel, which includes Mary Kant. She is a UN volunteer and currently working in Nehru Yuva Kendra, Dimapur, as a district youth coordinator. We have also with us Hara Prasad Hepruka, who is alumni of Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, who happen to be ex-Sarpanch and currently vice chairman of Rayagada block, Odisha. And the third one, we have Salami Sanskara, is Uday volunteer and working towards financial inclusion in the district of Koraput. Let me tell you, Mission Uday aims at reducing vulnerability of young people from indigenous communities by creating a cadre of indigenous youth leaders who would be bringing change in the society and act like a change maker in respective community. Mission Uday is supported by United Nations Population Fund and Rural Electrification Corporation Foundation, and K.I.S.S is the implementing agency. So the fourth of such indigenous youth is Sarojini Gomango. Sarojini Gomango is undergraduate student of Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, deemed to be university. She will be also sharing her experience. And the next one is Sanjukta Turuka. She is also Uday volunteers and working towards eradicating practice of child marriage among indigenous population during COVID-19 pandemic. And last but not the least, we have Ashish Thakur, who is a UN volunteer and currently working in the district youth office in association with district Yuva Kendra and based in Nuapada. So if any participant have any question, either you can text here in the chat box, or you can directly ask, after this panel discussion. Thank you. Now I would like to call Mary Kant, UNV, to share her experience during COVID-19 pandemic. So Mary Com, if you can share your experience, please.
Thank you, Mr. Kade, for having me on the panel. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, a very good evening to everyone, the honorable dignitaries who are here, students and alumni of Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, the volunteers and Team Mission Uday. It is a privilege and an honor for me to be a part of this program. My name is Mary Kent and I am a UN National Volunteer, and I'm currently posted as the District Youth Coordinator of Nehru Yuva Kendra, Dimapur. I will jump straight into my piece so as to make sure that I stick to my time limit of 3 minutes. So what we were doing back then seemed more like a natural and an immediate response to what was happening around us. But as we look back, it was only later that we saw the bigger picture of the choices that we were making and the impact that it had during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. In the current scenario, where many fear that the effect of COVID-19 could have a reverse impact on the progress made on gender equality and women's rights, I am here to testify that amidst the unfortunate many who were hit hard, ours is a story of strength and empowerment. Nehru Yuva Kendra, Dimapur had the opportunity to actively participate in the food bank, which was set up by the district administration. That was during a time when lockdown was imposed very strictly and the COVID-19 stigma and discrimination were doing its rounds. So that in itself was a very challenging situation to mobilize volunteers. For weeks in a row, over a month, for 6 days a week, and sometimes we had to work up to 10 hours a day. So what we were doing was that simultaneously we were gathering the list of beneficiaries from the district control room. We were packing thousands of relief materials, and also we were making sure that these were delivered to the beneficiaries. And as I am presented this prestigious platform to share my experience. I take pride to say this, and I hope that this is embedded in each of our hearts as we move forward in life towards making more important global decisions. I want this to be in our mind that that team that completed the mammoth task, that challenging task, comprised of over 60% women volunteers. And each time I am reminded of those days, I take pride and honor that I had the privilege to lead such a team during a crisis as such. Another very underrated activity that we were involved that we involved ourselves into was the face mask making. So when Nehru Yuva Kendra became a part of an organizing team that had to come up with a 15-day COVID awareness campaign, we knew exactly what we had to do and how we were going to contribute in our own capacity in the battlefield. So we made small clips of how to make face masks at home, and we circulated it. And we were open to receiving this homemade face masks. So that 15-day campaign where we distributed thousands of face masks was possible only because of these contributions. And needless to say that more than 95% of these face masks were made by women. So the challenges faced and what grew out of situations as such will be for another day to share. But as for this time, I'm afraid that I'll have to leave you with this short and brief message of strength, resilience, and empowerment. Thank you for having me. Over to you, Uday.
Thank you very much, Mary, and I salute your effort during COVID, and still you are working on in the field. Thank you very much for your deliberation. Now I would like to call Prasad Hepruka. The Hara, your floor is now for your experience. You unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Good evening to dignitaries, respected dignitaries, those who are present here, and especially it's my great privilege to be here among such eminent personalities. Before sharing COVID-19 management experience, I'd like to thank each and every one of those all frontline workers, those who sacrifice and giving service to the people. As a indigenous youth and public representative, it was a very big challenge for me to aware the people or those who are staying on grassroots level, and also particularly I can say this coronavirus, and it was a very new, totally new for my people and for my community. So they don't know, and they don't know what is the coronavirus and how to cope with that. That's why. So first of all, I formed a group, a team for each and every village to combat this pandemic situation, because that time we went doorstep of the people and said how to use mask and hand washing, frequently hand washing, and how to maintain the social distance and everything. So sometimes what happened, the old persons, those staying at a village, they don't have to eat food also. So that time we provided dry food and some cooked rice also. So this was a very challenging moment for us. So like that, and we provided soap also to hand washing to the people, and we put it posters to visibility in the different corner of the village, so that they can understand what is the coronavirus and what is the consequences. So like that, whatever the government advisory they comes, that time we totally whatever they are we are getting that time we were getting information that time we gave directly we are we were went to the doorstep of the people. Anyhow, it's a very good for us because we overcome it, and it's a very pleasure that time also Dr. Our founder Dr. Chancellor, he also helped for us to provide dry food to all the local street people. Those are not getting food. So that's why really our founder Dr. Chancellor and our CM, Chief Minister of Odisha, Naveen Patnaik ji, they appreciated my work, and they really encouraged me at that time to do work more. Really, it's a very challenging time. It was a very challenging time, and we overcome it. That's why I would like to thank you each and everyone. We collectively overcome it, and thank you, thank you, sir, for giving scope me to share my some experience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Hara. Thank you, Hara, for sharing your experience. And really, it's a challenging time, and you have come up with all those, challenging time. Thank you for sharing your experience. Now, I would like to call Salami Shasankar. She is a Uday volunteer. Salami will be speaking in Oriya. So, Salami, please start sharing your experience.
उपस्थित समस्त महरा नमस्कार। मो सालमी शशांकर जिला कोरापुट लक्ष्मीपुर ब्लॉक अंतर्गत दयापुट ग्राम रे महर गृह एही महापर्वत अंचल रे मोर एही लोक माने अनेक आधुनिक सुविधा सुजोगरु वंचित। एथिपाई मोहर इच्छा एक छोट बेलू लोक माननकु किभली मु सहाय्य करिवार मनोभावना मोहर रही अछि एवं मु उदय वॉलंटरी भाव में काम मध्य करि आसु अछि। एही जो कोविड-19 महामारी सारा पृथ्वी रे जो प्रकार परिस्थिति सृष्टि करी समस्त मानव जीवनर परिवर्तन आनी देला। एही गुरुत्वपूर्ण रे मध्य रे अनेक मानव जीवनता चली जाइछि। एही समस्त परिस्थिति रे मध्य लोक माने बंचिबार सुजोग खोजु अछंती। एही समस्त कष्टदायक परिस्थिति रे मध्य मु निजर शिक्षागत गुरुत्व ताकू बुझी पारि अछि। मोहर +3 कंप्लीट परे मु एक तालीम रो सुजोग खोजुथिली जहा कि मु 2019 मसीहा रे उदय मिशन विषय रे जानिबाकू पाइथिली एवं एही उदय मिशन UNDP सहायता रे किस ठारे आमे तालीम प्राप्त होइथिलु। एही मिशन रो उदय मिशन रो उद्देश्य हमर एही अंचल रो युवक युवती जेपरी समाजर परिवर्तन आनिबे नेतृत्व नेबे क्षमता नेबे जहा कि मु भुवनेश्वर ठारे 10 दिनिया तालीम मध्य नेइथिली। एथि पूर्वरु मु 2018 मसीहा रे भारतीय स्टेट बैंक CSP भाव कार्य करी आसुथिली जहा तालीम प्राप्त हेबा बेले मु अनेक विषय शिखिथिली। मोहर सेही काम रे बहुत कार्य आसीथिला। एही कोविड समय रे अनेक समाज रे अनेक परिवर्तन देखा देला। बहुत कष्ट रे लोक जीवन बिताउथिले। हमर एही आदिवासी लोक माने आदिवासी बहुल अंचल लोक माने कोनोसी आर्थिक कारोबार से माने करी मध्य पारु नथिले। एथि पय मु निष्पत्ति नेली जहा कि हम एरिया रे नेटवर्क नाइ लाइट नाइ करेंट रो कोन सुविधा नै सेही ग्राम गुडा करे जाई मु प्रत्येक जगह रे लोक माननकु बैंक रो सुविधा जोगाई दी आसुथिले जहा कि ग्राम ठारो 10 किलोमीटर 15 किलोमीटर 20 किलोमीटर रे नेटवर्क आसे सेठार मु जाए गोला बेलकु लोक आसी करे बैंक दीदी आसिला बोल बहुत सही कोइ आसंती मो पाखकु तो सेठारे मु लोकंकर खाता खोलिबारे सेठा लोकंकर खाता खोलिबारे एवं पैसा उठाण पैसा डिपोजिट करिवे से माने अनेक बीमा करी अछि अनेक सरकार योजना जहा कि जनधन योजना कालिया योजना ଏହି ସମସ୍ତ ସୁବିଧା ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ମୁଁ ଯୋଗାଇ ଦେଇ ଆସୁଥିଲି। ଏଥିପାଇଁ ମୋତେ ଏହି ସମସ୍ତ କାମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ମୋତେ ଗୋଟେ ଲ୍ୟାପଟପ୍ର ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ଥିଲା, ଯାହାକି ମୋତେ ଉଦୟ ପ୍ରୋଜେକ୍ଟ କିଛି ଆର୍ଥିକ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରିଥିବା ହେତୁରୁ ମୁଁ ଏକ ଲ୍ୟାପଟପ୍ କିଣିଲି ଏବଂ ଲ୍ୟାପଟପ୍ କିଣିକରି ମୁଁ ଆଉ ଅଧିକ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ ଦେଇ ଆସିଲି, ଯାହାକି 20-25ଟି ଆଦିବାସୀ ଗ୍ରାମରେ ଯାଇ ମୁଁ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏହି ସମସ୍ତ ସେବା ଯୋଗାଇ ଦେଇ ଆସୁଅଛି ଏବଂ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ସେହି କରୋନା ସମୟରେ ଅନେକ ସମାଜର ସଚେତନତା କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ମଧ୍ୟ ମୁଁ କରି ଆସୁଅଛି। ତେଣୁ ଏହି ମୋର ସମସ୍ତ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଦେଖି ମୋତେ पेट्रोलियम मंत्री श्रीजुक्त धर्मेंद्र प्रधान एवं मान्यवर मुख्यमंत्री श्रीजुक्त नवीन पट्टनायक मते ट्वीट माध्यम प्रशंसा करिथिबारु मु निजको बहुत गर्व अनुभव करूअछि। तेणु मते एही सबु सुजोग एवं सहाय्य करिथिबारु मु सहाय्य सृष्टि करिथिबारु मु मो निजर लाइफस्टाइल बदलाइबारे मते सहाय्य करिथिबारु विशेष करी मु UNFPA KIS एवं उदय मिशन समस्त को मोहर कृतज्ञता एवं धन्यवाद जनाऊँगी। नमस्कार।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सलामी, तुम काम बहुत प्रशंसा जोगु आउ निहाती तुम्हें ए काम द्वारा बहुत किसी उपकार और बहुत किसी लोगों को सहायता करि परिबो। So let me translate her deliberation in English. Salami hails from very small village near Koraput, which is Lakshmipur, and she has started working and volunteering for Uday Mission since 2019, and she has experienced like people in remote places how they are deprived of banking and financial services because it is very far away from their village. It's minimum 10 kilometers to 15 kilometers, and people are not so aware of how financial services can be availed in the places they are. So see, with the training from Uday Mission Uday, and with her willpower, she started working for the SBI and helping people of those areas, mostly indigenous people. And she was also facing some challenges where because the network area on those mouse affected area and telephone network are not so well enough. So she get laptop from the help of Uday Mission and some other personal help, and she started helping people and people those who are having some financial transaction with the bank, and also people who are getting some government benefit from different program and policies. And finally she also mentioned about that the petroleum ministers Shri Dharmendra Pradhan and Odisha's Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik also recognized her work, and she finally thanked Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, UNFPA and RSC for helping her in her endeavor. Thank you very much for her deliberation. So now moving forward, I would like to invite Sarojini Gomango, an undergraduate student from Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, deemed to be university. Sarojini, you can deliver your experience.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are very much audible.
A very good evening to the respected dignitaries present here. I am Sarojini Gomango, an undergraduate student, and I have completed my graduation recently, and right now I am pursuing my bachelor's in education in Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar. So coming to share my experiences during this pandemic crisis, and when the crisis had come to, I was in the college and I was studying in the hostel. At that time, we were very happy, but suddenly due to this pandemic, it has turned our life very challenging and very disparate. So due to this COVID, all the colleges and schools were closed and lockdown shutdown had been. So we went back to our home, and after going back to our home, we were very dispirited and we were very depressed because as a tribal students, we all, and in our villages or in our homes, there was no network, lot of network issues, most of us, and to have a digital classes or online classes, first and foremost, we were needing of smartphones or mobile phones. And most of us didn't have the mobile phones due to the financial issues. And our parents also could not afford that. So if our parents afforded also, and there was a problem of network issue, we were unable to attend the online classes. So despite of all this anxiety, confusion, or anger due to the COVID, still we had a off and challenging life. And the university or the college has never left us alone, though we were all in our own houses or villages. The college provided and the university provided us all the books and all the foods and everything to encourage the students to enhance their skills. So we received the books, they distributed the books district wise, and they came to us and they encouraged us, all our teachers, all the coordinators, all the lecturers. And due to that, we were encouraged, and we didn't feel that we are left alone or we don't have any facilities. Our teachers, our colleges, every time they were helping us. And we had in each classes, most of time we had 60 to 70 students in a class. But due to this network or some devices problems, our friends or our classmates, I myself will never attend the classes because of this problem. But slowly, due to the book which was provided to us, with that we were studying, and slowly we came up and we didn't feel that very stressed, and we cope up. Though this pandemic crisis was very challenging, very tough, we too took it as a challenge. Though even if the crisis is there, we should not we should not feel that depressed or stay back. We took it as challenge to be more encouraged and to focus for our career. Even if we feel depressed or we cannot sustain ahead or we cannot move forward. So due to that, now we all are, I completed my graduation successfully with all the facilities that have provided our college. And even in the further, if the crisis has not ended yet, still it is ongoing pandemic. And in the future also, though even the crisis is ongoing, we will work hard, we will encourage, and we will aware all the communities in our village or encourage them to not to fear, to not to stay, to come forward and help our community to grow and sustain for further. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences throughout this pandemic crisis.
Thank you, Sarojini, for your excellent presentation. And definitely, I salute your commitment to help yourself, your friends, and your communities in days to come. Thank you very much for your deliberation. Ebe ame dakiba ao jone amo sangre ochanti Sanjukta Turuka, se bhi jone Uday volunteers ao se bahut बढ़िया initiative रे काम करचंती से माने बाल्य विवाह केमती हमें आदिवासी समुदाय रे केमती हमें रखी परिबा से विषय से बहुत 3-4 वर्ष भितरे काम करचंती तांकुट सुनिबा तो एबे डाकुची संयुक्ता तुरुका आपण भी निज वक्तव्यटाको आरंभ करंतु।
एठारे उपस्थित समस्त को नमस्कार। मु संयुक्ता तुरुक जिला कोरापुट लक्ष्मीपुर ब्लॉक अंतर्गत तयापुर ग्राम रे मोर घर। आम एही कोरापुट जिला संपूर्ण आदिवासी बहुल अंचल अटे। एठाकार लोक माने संपूर्ण परंपरा रीतिनीति को नहीं विश्वास करी निज जीवन को अतिबाहित करती एवं मु मध्य सही परी परंपरा को विश्वास करी आसुथिली। किंतु मु 2019 मसीहा उदय मिशन द्वारा 10 दिन तालीम प्राप्त होइथिली। एठाकार मुख्यतः मते ऋतुस्राव, गर्भधारण और गर्भनिरोधीकरण कोण और बाल्य विवाह और प्राप्त वयस रे गर्भधारण कले कोन असुविधार सम्मुखीन हुए से सब विषय रे स्पष्ट भाव रे शिक्षा देथिले। मु सेही तालीम द्वारा अनुप्राणित होई निष्पत्ति नेली जे आम अंचल रे जाई बाल्य विवाह कले कोन असुविधा हुए। तेणु झियों को बोझ पर घरर धन पुओं को जो स्थान दिया जाइछि झियो को मध्य सेही भली उत्तम शिक्षा लाभ कराइबा ଏବଂ ସମ୍ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ସ୍ୱାଧୀନତା ଦେବା, ନିଜ ଜୀବନର ଇଚ୍ଛା ସମୂହକୁ ପ୍ରକାଶ କରିବା ନିମନ୍ତେ ସୁଯୋଗ ଦେବା ଏବଂ ବାଲ୍ୟ ବିବାହ ଆଇନଗତ ଅପରାଧ ଅଟେ। ଝିଅକୁ 18 ବର୍ଷ, ପୁଅକୁ 21 ବର୍ଷ ନହେଲେ ବିବାହ ଦେବା ସମ୍ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ଆଇନଗତ ଅପରାଧ ଅଟେ। ଆମ ଗ୍ରାମାଞ୍ଚଳ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏହି ସବୁ ଶିକ୍ଷା ଦେବା ନିମନ୍ତେ ମୁଁ ନିଷ୍ପତ୍ତି ନେଇଥିଲି। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କରୋନା ସମୟରେ ସମସ୍ତ ସ୍କୁଲ ହଷ୍ଟେଲ ବନ୍ଦ ଥିବା ଯୋଗୁଁ ଝିଅମାନେ ବା ପୁଅମାନେ ଘରେ ଆସି ରହୁଥିବା ସମୟରେ ବାପା ମା ମାନେ ଝିଅମାନଙ୍କୁ ବାହା କରିଦେବା ନିମନ୍ତେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଇଚ୍ଛା ପ୍ରକାଶ କରୁଥିଲେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଏହି ଶିକ୍ଷା ଲାଭ କରିଥିବା ହେତୁ ମୁଁ ଯାଇ ପ୍ରତି ଗ୍ରାମରେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଏହି ସବୁ ଶିକ୍ଷା ଦେଇ ସଚେତନ କରିବାକୁ ସକ୍ଷମ ହୋଇପାରିଛି। କରୋନା ସମୟରେ ଦୂରତା ରକ୍ଷା କରି ବାଲ୍ୟ ବିବାହ ବୈଠକ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ କରାଯାଇଛି ଓ 10 ଜଣିଆ କମିଟି କରାଯାଇଛି। ସେହି କମିଟିରେ ଆଶା ଦିଦି, ଅଙ୍ଗନବାଡି ଦିଦି, ୱାର୍ଡ ମେମ୍ବର ଆଉ ଏସଏଚଜି ମା ମାନେ ଅଛନ୍ତି। ତେଣୁ ମୋତେ ଏହି ସୁଯୋଗ ପ୍ରଦାନ କରି ମୋ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଏଭଳି ଦକ୍ଷତା ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରି ସମାଜର ସଚେତନତା ଦିଗରେ ବିନିଯୋଗ ହୋଇଥିବାରୁ ନିକଟରେ କୃତଜ୍ଞ ଅଟେ। ବିଶେଷ କରି UNDP, KIS ଏବଂ ଉଦୟ ମିଶନକୁ ମୋର ଆନ୍ତରିକ କୃତଜ୍ଞତା ଜଣାଉଛି।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद Sanjukta. Let me translate some of her deliberations. She also joined Mr. Uday in 2019, and she was being trained and informed about different situations in life. So she was very much focused of women issue and particularly child marriage. So she was very fascinated as she has seen child marriage in different parts of her areas and different villages where she belonged to. So she has thought of how she can eradicate child marriage in her community. So she took the path of getting aware and people in those areas and awareing about how child marriage is affecting your life. And she also has deliberately said about how it's a legal offense if you are getting your child marriage before the age. So during pandemic time, the issues of boys and girls were, it was increasing because they were not able to go outside. They have to stay in their villages. So she awared young people, boys and girls, with the help of Asa Didi, Anganwadi worker and self-help group, and able to aware young people from her village and able to stop child marriage in a very different way. So she also thanked in her last statement, she said, I would like to thank Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences and UNFPA for making her strong enough to create awareness to stop child marriage in her area. Thank you very much, Sanjukta, for your deliberation. Thank you very much. Now I would like to call Ashish Thakur, United Nations volunteers from Nuapada, to share your experience. Ashish, if you are there. No, Ashish, he was there in the. All right.
Sorry, I had some network in my laptop, so talking in my mobile.
Oh, okay. So if you can able to share your experience, even if in the mobile, that will be all right.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Kede, and it is my privilege to share my experience during COVID-19. So,
Mr. Ashish Thakur, are you there? I think he got disconnected. Meanwhile, we have with us Professor Deepak Kumar Behera sir, Vice Chancellor, Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences deemed to be university. Sir, I have seen you mindfully, listening all the deliberations, and I would like you to also share, some of your observation and how we
my
have.
excuse me, sir.
All right.
Yeah, so
All right.
there were some
Assis, there was some echo sound. Is it?
yeah, now I think now it should be fine.
Just hold for a minute. Assis and Deepak sir, can we wait for another 2 minutes so that we can?
I think Kadaji, you must allow Assis to continue, and then I will give my remarks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for Assis. You can continue.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption. Myself, Ashish Thakur, National UN volunteer and posted as District Youth Officer in Nehru Yuva Kendra Swapada under Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. So it is my immense pleasure and privilege to share my experience of the voluntary work we have done during COVID-19 in front of all respected dignitaries. Coming to this COVID-19 pandemic, it was a challenge for humanity across the globe, and we also faced the problem during COVID-19. So during this COVID-19 period, the major challenges we faced during this lockdown was we are completely detached from the network of youth volunteers and Nehru Yuva Kendra had. So to address that problem, we created block and village level groups, where the block level groups, the representative of youth clubs were associated. And in every villages, more than 150 villages, we formed a village level WhatsApp group. And whatever the communication, authenticated and verified communication we received from state government, district administration, and district police, we started delivering those messages in those groups so that it could reach to the community through these youth volunteers. So in addition to the regular work which everybody were doing during this COVID pandemic, like distribution of masks, preparation of handmade masks, creating awareness, door-to-door awareness campaign to sensitize people about this maintaining social distance, follow COVID appropriate behavior, and proper way of hand washing. I will be sharing few unique experience we had with volunteer engagement. So first of its kind, we had one group of volunteers. With our girls club, they felt that during this lockdown, young adolescent girls were deprived of getting sanitary napkins during this lockdown. So Yuvati songs, volunteers, they Anganwadi and health workers, adolescent girls at villages. Initiative Club, a group of youth volunteers, they promoted more than 450 kitchen gardens in their village and nearby villages. Their effort was highly appreciated, and it was also covered by the Better India. One of our youth club, they were working for the cause of preventing child marriage, and the president of Onanya Girl Federation and Jhansi Rani Yuvati Sangh, they were also awarded the prestigious B award by UNB for their contribution during this period and preventing child marriage. By creating this online platform, we also, through the Youth Resource Center, we trained more than 2,000 youth volunteers on various online sessions, career counseling, career guidance, and various Ghar Baithe Charcha, E-Panchayat, like series of online sessions were organized to engage the youth volunteers. And the youth volunteer across the district, when the migrant labor started coming from their workplaces. Our volunteers, they organized yoga sessions, morning exercise sessions, and screening of movies in quarantine centers, and they provide assistance to manage these quarantine centers. And with this, I would like to thank all the volunteers that they have done this excellent work during COVID-19. And during the second wave, with the help of UNICEF, we also organized, not only for Mapada, we organized a session across the state with the support of UNICEF. We organized session in 4 different topics like WAS and COVID appropriate behavior, media myth and misconception, child prevention and ending child marriage, addressing socio-economic and vulnerability during COVID-19. So I would also like to share that when the people, even their relatives and family members were not willing to toss the dead body caused due to the COVID pandemic, our volunteers also disposed the dead body, of course, with proper protocol and uniform PPE kit. They disposed the dead body, and their effort was really appreciated. So again, I would like to thank for providing this opportunity to share the experience of the volunteer spirit. Our volunteers has done tremendous job during this pandemic. Thank you again for these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ashish, for your commendable work, and thank you for sharing your experience. Now I would like to invite our own BC sir, Professor Deepak Kumar Behra sir, if you can briefly, also encourage participants and share one of your experience during COVID-19.
Thank you very much, Dr. Soren. Am I audible?
You are audible.
Yeah. So at the outset, I would like to congratulate all the speakers and panelists, especially our youth panelists, and it's an eye-opener for me. What should I motivate? I myself feel motivated, having heard all our young panelists, they have done a spectacular job during the pandemic, and they have touched upon all the important aspects, starting from, motivating the young, return migrant, sensitizing them, creating awareness, and also digital divide, how did they work, and child marriage. So all important aspects have been touched. So if we channelize the youth energy in the proper direction, our youth can play miracle. And congratulations to all ECOSOC youth volunteers and volunteers of other organizations, and also different officials who have been part of this ECOSOC program. And I salute them. K.I.S. said no to one person, but I salute each of the youth volunteers, and keep on doing this good kind of work. And we are behind you, and I have been researching on youth and children, and I feel very motivated when I, hear particularly the success story of youth, and each one of them, deserve appreciation. And from the core of my heart, from the bottom of my heart, I congratulate everyone, and to the whole team. And I feel proud to be part of K.I.S team. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak few words. Over to K.I.S.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your encouraging words. And definitely, there are a lot of many things where you can also guide us and also, motivate us to do better job in near future. And so, not, wasting much of time, we have, rightly on time. Now I would like to invite, if anyone has a question to any of the speaker or any of the panelists here, in the audience, if you have any question, we can, because we don't have enough. We can take 1 or 2 questions in regard to the deliberations. So I'll wait for a minute or so, and we can go ahead. I believe all the participants have been motivated enough.
May I ask, let me write it down.
All right.
If I'm audible.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. May I ask Salami or Sanjukta or even Sarojini to tell a story? They gave a very general impression, very interesting, any striking story that they remember during those days, something that they remember for a long time. Can you ask them, please, Kadir?
Yes, yes. A question I'll have to translate it. This question is for 3 people. One is Salami, Sarojini, and Sanjukta. You know, we have Dr. Arvindam Bandopadhyay from Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, Deemed University. He would like to request you, if you can write it down, your experience during COVID pandemic. So that would be a kind of, it should be circulated to many people so that many people can come to know about whatever your experience and initiative you have taken and during COVID-19 pandemic. So this is a request and this is a kind of suggestion from 3 of you. If you can write it down, and if you would like to share with us, that will be a great. So thank you very much, Dr. Arvindam sir, for your question. I have, informed the panelists, so I'll get back to them once this discussion get over. So thank you very much. Now, I think any more question from anyone? Let me check with the chat box. So we don't have any question in the chat box. So I would now like to request and invite Dr. Prashant Rawat, Chief Executive Officer at Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences and Registrar, Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, Deemed to be University, to propose a vote of thanks. And sir, if you would like to say a few words before you propose a vote of thanks, that would be great of you. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you, Kade. Am I audible?
Sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So good evening, honorable speakers and the panelists. So this is a greatest opportunity for all of us sharing our experience, what we did in the COVID-19, and particularly in COVID response. Definitely, I will say something about what both K.I.S and KIT did during the COVID. Otherwise, it will be injustice the way our volunteers, particularly teaching and non-teaching staff of both K.I.S and KIT, deemed to be university, selflessly working for the cause, how to address the entire thing. So let me say what exactly we have adopted. That's the COVID response. One is the most important thing what we did to raise the knowledge on social distancing, hand washing, and respiratory hygiene in various districts of Odisha. that is under the social change and community engagement. Also, some of the panelists, they have also shared some of their experiences. And another thing is providing life-saving supplies, essential groceries, hygiene and sanitation necessities are provided to need communities across the states. And from reaching out to every student's family to helping old age homes, that is very important and significant during that days. Continued education in blended mode, that was one of the important achievements we have. Students attended classes via workshops, while textbooks and other study materials also dispatched to their doorstep on a monthly basis. Basic purpose was our students, those who are in their respective places, they should not be alienated, they should not be away from their facility, what exactly they are getting in K.I.S.S Bhubaneswar. And providing accessible healthcare, that was also a very innovative work with the leadership of the Honorable Founder, Dr. Achu Samant. India's first COVID hospital was set up by the K.I.S.S. That was in the temporary hospitals in different districts of Odisha. And one important thing we also highlighted, reducing inequalities for diverse communities, particularly adding transgender communities of different parts of Odisha. And reducing the digital gap. Basic purpose is to giving sense of responsibility to the social activities with relation through television channel, that is Kalinga TV, sharing awareness campaigns on do's and does not in COVID-19, along with showing the e-learning classes. And interestingly, already it was discussed with the UNDP and Consul General of Hyderabad. K.I.S.S conducted two important surveys on behalf of UNDP India on migrant labors for policy level changes. It also launched a project with US Consul Hyderabad on creating COVID-19 awareness among the tribal community of Odisha. And most interestingly, it's very unique, the founder of K.I.S.S and KIT, Dr. Achu Samant, as a humanitarian gesture, has declared to provide technical and professional education absolutely free of cost to the children, free of cost to the children of COVID disease. Sons and daughters of COVID disease who are interested can apply for different technical and professional courses of KIT deemed to be university, including ITI, diploma, engineering, as per the eligibility for admission. And KIT is the only university in India and abroad to extend such humanitarian gestures to the families of COVID disease. So these are some of the achievements which entire K.I.S.S and KIT volunteers they have done under the leadership of our Honorable Founder, Dr. Achu Samant. There are so many. So it is the time to give a formal vote of thanks to our honorable dignitaries, those who are present here. So we are extremely thankful to our honorable Chancellor, and also he is the Secretary General of Global Alliance for Sustainable Planet, for his excellent message to the entire participants, those are in the virtual mode. And we are also thankful to Head of Odisha Office UNDP, Abha Mishra. She has given more importance to the youth. With unless until we give importance to youth, those who are really very dynamic with relation to their activities, because you will see the global issues, the percentage of youth is very significant. So unless until you sensitize youth, they can't do anything, whatever way you are discussing and transacting our activities. Thanks to Abha Mishra, particularly giving more importance to the topic on innovative steps taken by the indigenous youth and communities to deal with the various gender concerns. We are also thankful to Mr. Senthil Thirupati, Public Engagement Specialist, U.S. Consul General Hyderabad, for his message and also his advice what exactly we did during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks for your support. And we are also thankful to IPS, Mr. Rajesh Pandit, IPS DIG of Odisha, Southwestern Region, Koraput. Shared his insights, particularly in the context of livelihood issues. And also he has given more importance to skill training, which is really very relevant in the context of COVID pandemic. And we are extremely thankful to ECOSOC UN bodies for giving us the opportunity to have this type of dialogue. And thanks to entire energetic young youth, panelists, those who have spared their experience. And it was really eye-opener for all of us. Thanks them for sharing their experience. We are thankful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Deepak Kumar Behra, for his encouraging words and kind presence and patience for listening from the beginning till the end of the program. Thanks to our Director General for his kind presence. And last but not the least, we are extremely thankful to all the participants and the committee, including our Mr. K.I.S and an entire team for organizing this type of webinar. And it was also an eye-opener for all of us. Let us educate ourselves by getting and sharing the information, what it did in COVID-19 and what is our response to the entire world in response to our pandemic situation. So thank you all. Thanks. Thank you. Namaste.
So before we conclude with this meeting, with this side event, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude and would like to thank, without which this side event would not have been possible. I would like to extend and want to thank you, Government of Odisha, UN volunteer all across the country, and US Consulate Hyderabad, and finally ECOSOC Youth Forum, Economic and Social Council has giving us this opportunity for conducting this side event virtually. So thank you very much. I propose this side event to be concluded here. It's end. Thank you very much for all your support.
Thank you all. Namaste.